Chapter 1. For many years I claimed I could remember things seen at the time of my own birth. Whenever I said so, the grown-ups would laugh at first, but then, wondering if they were not being tricked, they would look distastefully at the pallid face of that unchildlike child. Sometimes I happened to say so in the presence of callers who were not close friends of the family. Then my grandmother, fearing I would be taken for an idiot, would interrupt in a sharp voice and tell me to go somewhere else and play. While they were still smiling from their laughter, the grown-ups would usually set about trying to confute me with some sort of scientific explanation. Trying to devise explanations that a child's mind could grasp, they would always start babbling with no little dramatic zeal, saying that a baby's eyes are not yet open at birth, or that even if his eyes are completely open, a newborn baby could not possibly see things clearly enough to remember them. "Isn't that right?" they would say, shaking the small shoulder of the still unconvinced child. But just then they would seem to be struck by the idea that they were on the point of being taken in by the child's tricks. "Even if we think he's a child, we mustn't let our guard down. The little rascal is surely trying to trick us into telling him about that. And then, what is to keep him from asking, with still more childlike innocence, where did I come from? How was I born?" And in the end, they would look me over again silently, with a thin smile frozen on their lips, showing that for some reason which I could never understand, their feelings had been deeply hurt. But their fears were groundless. I had not the slightest desire to ask about that. Even if I had wanted to ask, I was so fearful of hurting adult feelings that the thought of using trickery would never have occurred to me. No matter how they explained, no matter how they laughed me away, I could not believe but I remembered my own birth. Perhaps the basis for my memory was something I had heard from someone who had been present at that time, or perhaps it was only my own willful imagination. However that may have been, there was one thing I was convinced I had seen clearly with my own eyes. That was the brim of the basin in which I received my first bath. It was a brand new basin, its wooden surface planed to a fresh and silken smoothness. And when I looked from inside, a ray of light was striking one spot on its brim. The wood gleamed only in that one spot and seemed to be made of gold. Tongue-tips of water lapped up waveringly as though they would lick the spot but never quite reached it. And whether because of a reflection or because the ray of light streamed on into the basin as well, the water beneath that spot on the brim gleamed softly, and tiny shining waves seemed to be forever bumping their heads together there.